racing games. They have always had the same objectives that seem simple enough to understand. Try to come in first place in whatever it was that they wanted you to race with. Whether it be a car, a bike, a monster truck, or yes, even a boat. There's nothing wrong with any of that, but what about the increased level of violence here? Here's yet another example for you. Remember back in the days of Nintendo 64? Ways to knock your opponents were simple back then. You could bump them, then bump them again, and every once in a while you could bump them really hard inside. And that was literally it. Racing games have certainly moved from there. Now you can call in a helicopter. Now that helicopter will swoop in and set spike strips on the road, and as long as you dodge them, you'll probably be fine. You see, it's all about doing any crazy thing possible that you can to knock your opponents out of the race. Now, it may not seem like that big of an issue, but parents are still concerned if their children understand that the people in the cars could get hurt if this was indeed real life. And trust me, in the games of today, there's plenty of ways to get hurt. I personally don't see why there is so much concern of if a child understands not to drive this way, because by the time that child actually gets behind the wheel of an actual car, they will know that what happens in the game is just fiction. But this is still a subject I'll have to cover. As stated before, racing games have found more crazy ways to beat opponents. And they have created ways that are certainly painful to watch. It's found to be a little more entertaining, because without all the crashes and explosions, it would just be cars driving around in a circle. So video games added in crazy, dynamic, interactive scenery to make the game stand out more. They added in ways for the cars to crash and blow up, and make it seem a lot more interesting to the player. You see, racing games have it the hardest. They all have the same point. Get to the finish line before everyone else does. If that was the only point in the game, there would be no way racing games could stand out. So companies try to find creative ways for their game to beat all the others. And the way they see it, what could be a better way than having a whole variety of possibilities on how to destroy your rivals? I personally agree with the reason why they did this. It makes the game a whole lot more fun and interesting. The important thing to remember is that it's all exaggerated, and that everyone knows a car cannot drive through 80 explosions, fly 50 yards into the air, and still come out without a scratch. I think even children understand that. So parents, please realize that stuff like this is in games, but that doesn't mean your child is going to drive like a madman.